Okay, well, here we are, Monday, the 24th. Time to put a little video up, and I wanted to give an explanation of, well, let's say current events and things that I just wanted to talk about today. Number one, somebody was wondering out there what happened to all the posters. Well, there's mine right there. And Mo Magic, I want to thank you for the design on this. I've been using it quite a while now, but like I say, there was people out there wondering what happened to all the posters or flags or whatever you want to call them. Mine's up there. So don't have to ask about mine anymore. I'm having a little trouble today. The sometimes my COPD uh, bothers me a little bit because of the amount of phlegm that might be in my lungs at any one time. And I don't know why one day it's worse than the other. It just is. But I'm almost at the very end of the stage 3, so I don't have a lot of lung capacity. I had RSV 2 years ago, and it did a number on what was left of my lungs. Before I had it, I was operating at 50%, which is kind of what people operate on. Almost everybody, only uses half their lungs. When you're at COPD and you're down to half, you're using everything. I think I'm down to about a third of my total capacity, and it causes problems sometimes, mainly in trying to walk even across the yard is a problem. I have a machine in there for sleep apnea that it's kind of a godsend because uh, part of COPD, you lose your muscles in your chest area, and it makes it hard to breathe. And my diaphragm on this side has been paralyzed for over 10 years, and now my body has pushed it upward. Don't know why. It's common on people that have COPD. So this lung doesn't operate very well at all. And what's left of this one, which is on the same side as my heart, I better take good care of it. The very bottom of it has asbestosis, believe it or not. It's pretty well calcified, but it's there and it's all mine for now. All right. Well, most of you know I lost my wife September the 3rd, and trying to make sense of the world I'm in. So part of it is most of you understand I'm going to be in a court situation for as long as it lasts, a federal civil court. I'm being sued along with 9 others, and I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe I won't make it that long. I don't know, but we'll see. Hopefully, I can make it through till then. See if I get my breath back here. The reason I'm going to be in court because of I have a dispute with another YouTuber, and they don't like my attitude towards them or the fact that my opinion and theirs differ, and so and they've decided to sue me. Along with that, they have a lot of people following them. For some reason, just on his word, pretty much, they seem to hate me. Now, I went through most of my life with very little hate. The heck of it is, when I go on there and I look at the lies they tell about me or what I'm doing or what I'm up to, it's something I never figured would ever happen. I didn't know there was that many people that were that way, that like to fib, if you will, for lack of any other words. It's a fib because it's more like children, and children know what fibbing is. They may not know what lying is, but they know what fib is. Okay. I didn't mind too much that they made all these caricatures out of me and did all kinds of stuff. They called me names and put little comedies up, AI depictions of me doing things that would never happen, by the way, but and dressing me up like a devil and uh, they tried to make out like I was a transvestite. Anything they thought that would get my goat. And it's pretty hard to get the goat of a person my age. We've seen most things, although I never expected the limits they would go to try to hurt a person. Now, when I started to get involved with this, I had made the decision to try to intervene in the neighbors' dispute down there, a little town, Florida. It was a decision that I didn't take lightly. I had looked at both sides, and quite frankly, they both looked like this thing could have been solved way before it got into the size that it is now. It should have never been in court. But now that it is, and there's all kinds of people involved in it, and we're not talking a few 100,000. It's way beyond that. And it seems on a regular basis, new people are joining in on both sides. If you would want to size it up, one for, one against, and all that in between. And the disputes become a dispute within each group too. They have their fallings out and they trade sides or go somewhere else. And recently, it's ramped up. Now, my wife had spent a couple months in the hospital. A lot of things happened to her. I really didn't at the time realize that she was dying. Didn't know it. It's a long process. All these little things kept coming up. And looking back on that last couple of weeks that she was alive, pretty much the hospital staff pretty much knew what was happening. Little by little, understanding, they realized by the amount of medicine that was taken to keep her alive, her chances of ever coming out of it. Plus, she was bedridden, couldn't walk. She had clots in her lungs that were making it hard for her to breathe and making her heart beat bam, 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 fast. Um, Over 120 beats per minute regularly. A lot of times going up around 150. It was like she was in a race. It's really what it was like. But she did that for a couple of months. The breathing was quite labored. She had to have oxygen almost constantly. They'd try to cut her back. She'd go back for a little bit and then have to have it again. The machines behind her, they had what they call a tree. And on this one, I counted them up one day how many were going at once, and there was 5 of them there, and there was a couple on the other side of her going. And then there was a machine back there electrically that was hooked up to her. So she had tubes and wires and all kinds of stuff going on. She had stuff on her legs and separate things for her feet to try to keep the blood flowing. And she had bed sores. She'd been in bed for a couple of months, so they were open bed sores. Made it quite miserable for my wife, but she fought it. She was a happy person the whole time. She had her up and downs. They ran in days or cycles of 3 to 4 days, like this. And they even put her to sleep for a day and a half so that her body could kind of rest a little bit and catch up because she needed that rest, physically and mentally both. I didn't know how bad it was until a few hours before she actually passed away. And I guess if I knew more about it, I'd have guessed it ahead of time. It probably would have caused more mental anguish for me. Along the way, I forgot to take my medicine. You see, when you get to a certain point, all you want to do is get there with your loved one. And you go home to get cleaned up and maybe have a meal. Now, along the way, I was able to receive a hard that I could use at a restaurant called Applebee's, and they have pretty decent food there at Applebee's. So when I'd have time, I would stop there, pick up the meal, and take it home. And I shared that with my daughters. My daughter was here most of the time. When you get home after being in the hospital all day, it's kind of hard to cook. And if you cook, you got to go to the grocery store. You got to take the time out. But you don't want to go there because you want to go to the hospital. The days, um, you don't distinguish Monday from Sunday. It don't make any difference because your days are really at the hospital. Well, because I didn't take my medicine, then my medicine controls my heart rate and my blood pressure. Both took a pretty good hit. So I took this, my annual physical, and they said that I needed iron. I was anemic. I've never been anemic my entire life. I was losing weight, a lot of weight quickly. I was dehydrating as well. I wasn't drinking much water. So when you don't take something for a while, it's hard to remember it to take it. I used to take it in the evening and for my eye drops, and then the rest of the stuff I took first thing in the morning when I get up. And when you're so focused with, like I was, on getting back and forth to a hospital, it's it doesn't enter your mind until something happens. Well, with me, it did. I had some problems. The medications, we found out that when I was taking them, they worked fine. When I didn't take them, they really didn't work at all. And the problems manifested itself after about a month of not taking medication. And the fact of not eating compounded the problem because I was losing weight. Mhm. You don't notice it because your mind is somewhere else. It's not on yourself. You love somebody so much, you come way back in priorities. If you really love them, you do. You would rather take their place in that bed than to have them lay there and suffer. I never thought that would happen to me. I never thought it would happen to my wife, that she would be in this situation. When I walked in that day and she was laying on the floor all cooled up, curled up, and the pup was standing there trying to figure out what was wrong, and her face had turned gray and blue. It kind of knocked me for a loop. And then when I called in and the medics come and they had to call a backup because they didn't have enough equipment to keep my wife um, stable. Let's put it that way. So the second team come in and they got her to the hospital and stabilized and she they did the best they could, but it didn't always work out well. And I was able to bring her home for some time and took her to a specialist. They found more problems. She not only had a crack in her pelvis, she had a break on the other side, which was causing all the problems that she was having, secondary problems. The blood clots that ended up in her lungs made her heart beat way fast. The blood thinners she took ended up being the reason she died. They put a lot of them in there because they didn't want any more clots up here. She would have died eventually from that. The second hospital put a filter in her leg to keep the clots from coming from her leg and getting more up here, or possibly moving to other places, whether lodge in her heart or maybe even in her brain. Well, the machines she was hooked up were artificially keeping my wife going. She bled out 7 times in 2 months. She got down to the point a couple of times where it took its toll on her organs. She ended up with a heart attack a week to 10 days before she passed away. The operation they wanted to do, they weren't not going to be able to do it because she would never survive the anesthesia. When they told her that they couldn't, she wanted to go home. A palliative nurse wanted to talk to me a little bit. I wasn't in the mood to talk to this person. The office had sent her down to talk to me down there in the critical care. All I wanted was a meeting with the administration of the hospital so I could get this operation taken care of because I was under the impression that would stop the bleeding that was going on. They couldn't stop it. The pictures showed that the skin had, deteriorated around a couple of spots there and become this. It turns white, so the skin is dead there, and they chemically cauterize it. They do it in there numerous times to do that. They went on the outside and put a coil in there. All those things worked for a very short period of time, and then again, it would loosen up. The problems would happen in those areas. In other words, the things they did, my wife wasn't healing enough for it to take effect. And so they would open up and bleed and it would pump because it was that bad. And when it didn't take very long for it to empty. Her veins collapsed one of the times. She went through torture, the different procedures they had to do to her. And for the most part, her spirits were pretty good. We were there every day. We tried to pick her up anytime that her spirit would come down a little bit. We'd do everything we could, and we had a lot of good times with her. Um, one of my daughters from Texas came up with her husband so that they could visit with my wife before she passed. One of my daughters stayed here most of the time, helping out both here at the hospital, and her husband came up and helped too. When you're in a situation like that, you find out who your real friends are. Well, through this whole mess, while I was getting sized up for court, you might say, through Lee's in a pod, we had talked back and forth here and there, and I had made friends with Lisa, and she had my back the entire time that all this was going on with my wife. Had words of encouragement. She even talked to my wife on the telephone, and my wife enjoyed the conversation. She asked everybody to pray for us every time that something like that happened. When my wife passed away, I had actually been on a program. I couldn't sleep one night, and I woke up early in the morning, and when they give me a call, my wife was in distress. I said I had to leave. That they called me in. Anyway, through this whole ordeal, her and the people following that channel had taken care of me, you might say. They had, matter of fact, my meal ticket came from people following to Lee's in a Pod. I can't thank them enough for doing what they could through prayer and digging in their pockets to give me a card to eat. People don't realize that during a time like this, the last thing in your mind is food. So you're not in the mood to cook or go to the grocery store, none of that. But a meal ticket, you can stop on the way to and from and grab something. And we were doing that. And we spent a lot of nights in that hospital. They had places for us to like make up beds that were not comfortable at all, but they supplied sheets, blankets, and a pillow. And you were welcome to stay that night. You had to, in the morning, you had to, wrap it up and throw stuff in the dirty clothes and stuff. And they had showers, but it's kind of tough to take showers. I mean, there's one for the men, one for the woman on each floor, and you might have 10 families in there. You know, it it's a little, it's convenient and it's inconvenient at the same time. Let's put it that way. But we would run home, get cleaned up, and go back pretty much. If we could get a little out of sleep, that's what we did. While my wife was home for a few days, Robbie and a person named Shellbell got together and sent my wife her birthday stone, amethyst, great big rock with amethyst crystals in there. And my wife lit up. And we were able to talk to Robbie and thank him, and we asked him to thank Shellbell as well. That the two of them had made my wife's day. That was not only did my wife appreciate stuff like that, she it was her birthstone, but it was really a double surprise. And it's considered a healing stone as well. And my wife had me put it in a china cabinet, so it was on display. But my wife soon had to go back in the hospital after she was home, and things went downhill from that point to the point to where she passed away. I wanted to shout out to Pebs out there. She watched my personal channel and tried to keep it as clean as she could, where there were many derogatory comments coming to my channel. These people tried to go after the comments of my wife so bit. And I had warned the funeral place that it could happen, and it did. Matter of fact, the moment it went up, somebody was waiting so that they could make comments. And the comments were in there before I could get home from the funeral, from when I approved the old bit that was to be there on their site and also the one for the newspaper. I don't know what possesses people to do that, but they had taken my father's obit and put it on Facebook so that they doxed not only myself but my brothers and that, they went after my family, this hate group, and they're still out there. They're every time, almost on a daily spot. They're after me now, and they were after me before, and they've said over and over it's karma because what happened to my wife was because of me, and things like that. Anything they can to try to hurt me. That part don't hurt me. I realize it's God's will that she now resides in His house. It's hard for me to understand how people can be that hateful. It really is. And then one of the things that disturbed me, besides these people that do that, jeez, and they go after the people that try to help me during this time of sorrow. And they went after Robbie and his family, after Dave, Super Dave. When did it become dangerous to try to help somebody out? What has happened to society that they can't understand? People are entitled to the way they feel about somebody, but man, to come after them and use lies and names and things that just boy don't make sense. and they throttle up, with these creators of these channels, and then people come after you. One of them, Clark Starr, supposedly lives in my town, was going to come down and see if my RV is still here. When these people decide to stalk you because some creator thinks it's necessary, the creator out there, what kind of a person generates things like that? Somebody named Hip. What's wrong with people like that? Not a very big channel. They talk stupid on there. Whoever that person is probably thinks they're the greatest thing in the world. They're doing the things that somebody else can't or won't or is too cowardly to do. But they're going to come down to my place and see what I'm up to, stalk me. And when my wife, before her accident, when she was out there mowing, she got stalked out here. Somebody pulled in with a white car and parked in three different spots. This is a private drive. There's four of us on this road out here, four of us. And they were using our road to watch my wife mow the grass. And it happened a couple more times with different cars coming here. You see, we got doxed through my dad's uh, obit, become common knowledge where I live. And it probably around a month ago, they were even instructed on how to get to my house from the post office uptown through a Google map. Yeah, that's how bad they hate me. And then they accuse me of being somebody that docks other people. I was accused because I laughed at a I or AI depiction of somebody out there because I laughed at it. Then I was as bad as the perpetrator of making it. For one thing, it was the depiction was not even half as bad as the ones that were put out about me. And it was okay for people to put out all these things about me. They had me dressed up like a transvestite. One time they had me dressed up as a devil. One time they had a stingray out there that had been gutted, and like that's going to happen to me. One time they made a pile out there, and they said that's the end of me and also Bruce Maskin, that we were in that pile dead. It was okay, and no problem for YouTube. It's all right for them to do that. They could do that. It's okay. DJ Radis, his channel, he puts stuff out every day. He's been hounding Michelle from the very beginning, and in fact, he had a song out there with the about the devil, angel of death coming to get her daughter to take her daughter away. Yeah, these are the kind of people that are out there doing this kind of stuff. And that's okay because YouTube allows it. It's all right. Yeah, no big deal. It's AI. Just skirt just barely around it so you can get away with it. And they get everybody else to believe it's okay too to try to hurt people mentally because of their belief. What happened to society? Why do people feel that way? You come on here to do things like that to the common person. I mean, what did I do to you personally? Is it just because I don't like somebody and I don't like the way they do things because I think they're a bully? That my opinion is that? That's why you don't you I mean you hate me? You think I trespassed in some way? I haven't. I just I, the tactics that are used are quite quite out there. I mean, if you had any sense at all, if it was happened to your parent or a friend of yours, you would be very upset. The other part that bothered me the other night, the person that I'd been involved in trying to help out had said that people like me that had been helping were the cause of the dilemma she was in, and that she never asked us for help. And now, because we gave it, she was in a bad place. And I just said, okay, I believe you. You won't have to worry about me. I'm not going to help you anymore. Wow. I never thought anybody could feel that way about somebody that was helping them out. But she didn't ask for help, not for me. And I followed her wishes. Now she's wanting donations. It's a little hard for her to come by them because the people that helped her before, she bid them. Lisa bent over backwards for her to try to get things going, and she's mad because Lisa wouldn't hand the bank accounts over to her. You see, the money was put in Lisa's hands for a specific purpose, and Michelle felt they should be used for other things. There was a disagreement, and so she decided to bite everybody, including the person that helped her out more than any other person. And yeah, there was a big donor out there, and his was earmarked for a specific thing. And for Lisa to do anything other than that with it, could have brought a lawsuit on her, a personal lawsuit. She'd have been better off to send the money back immediately. Say, hey, I can't get involved in this. This is out of my ballywhack. But once the ball started, it's hard not to follow through and try to make things right. After all, it was given in the spirit of helping this little girl out. But the spirit of Michelle seems to be different than that. So, because of her wish, that's why I backed out. And then, another person come along and said, well, maybe if we help her out on this case. And I don't blame this person for wanting to help somebody out because there's a lot of people with big hearts out there and they're looking at the immediate thing that's in front of them. And they feel sorry for her too because she can't defend herself in this thing. Well, I'm involved in two other cases. No, one other case uh, with that person, Michelle. And I'm on a fixed income and I'm going to have to come up with funding for a lawyer. Right now, the most eminent thing is she's in Ohio courts and she's got to defend herself there and she's got to come up with some money for a lawyer. And people aren't as apt to give her a whole lot because of the way she acted with the people that already gave. But and she's never offered an apology in any way. So as far as me trying to help her, it would be pretty hard. I had an awful time. Number one is she's not appreciative of the help she got already. What makes anybody think she's going to appreciate it if it's given now? The other one is because I'm involved in a court case, just like she is, I've got to figure out how I can raise the funding to hire a lawyer to defend me in a case that I wouldn't be involved in if I hadn't known her, if I hadn't stuck up for her. Now, it's my fault as far as maybe I should have had enough sense to stay clear the heck away from it and then let nature take its course. She would have been buried a long time ago in lawsuits and innuendos, and she's been under the gun. I mean, I don't know how she's taken the pressure she has to date. I'm not so sure why she wanted to attack somebody like me that helped out of the goodness of my heart, but she did, and it hurt, and still does. Now, at a time when I'm trying to get over the fact that my wife is gone, I don't have my wife here to help me get over the different hurts that I've experienced, her demise, or the hurt of facing all these people that hate me with their whole being, that want nothing more than for me to succumb to a spot where I can't help myself. For maybe I'm not going to be here anymore. Lord knows, I have enough health issues that maybe I won't make it. Maybe it'll be a blessing. Maybe if they get after me enough, maybe it'll bother me enough that I'll pass away in my sleep, or maybe right here, one of these things, I'll get upset. I had a stroke just before I retired. So maybe I'll get mad enough on here that I'll have a stroke and I'll be gone. Maybe you'll even get to watch it. Who knows? Could happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. It bothers me a little bit that because we helped, there are others out there that think if we, again, got in there and helped, that would help us when we did it. Well, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow to help somebody that's blamed us for her station in life, that her problems are there. Because if I help her, if they don't go right for her, then I'm going to be the bad guy again, and those others that help. I'm not saying not to help her, absolutely not. I'm just trying to tell you why I have my mind set the way it is. For me, at this point, to try to finance for her when I don't have enough to finance myself doesn't make logical sense to me. Most of the time, when I've been asked to help, I've done it. And I've been a person that verbalized and tried to get more people in her corner. I told her not too long ago, since she didn't want me in her life, I was out. But to this day, you can look in her personal social stuff that she puts out there. She still feels that way about the people that helped her out. And she attacks the one that did the most help, which was Lisa. When she went after Robbie donated a lot of material for her so that she could use it in her shop and sell it, and didn't cost her a nickel out of her pocket. And we're not talking about hundreds of dollars. We're talking a lot more than that. We're talking about somebody that spent, so I guess my understanding is $1,000 for a pup to be a service dog, and nobody there knows has a certificate to train this dog, and to take it in to have it done would be probably pretty pricey if it could even be done. $1,000. Spent hundreds of dollars buying stones, rocks. You wonder, could the money have been better used for other things? And that even if I helped out or others and got her out of this hard spot, what about the two federal civil cases that she's involved in up there in Gainesville? One of them, which I'm involved in, that I've got to come up with the same funding. Is she going to be the rock that sinks me? Or is she the one that's going to suck my blood out of a rock to support herself, that I'll fall behind? I don't know. I'm not coming up with a hard heart, but sometimes you have to think about how are you going to survive this whole thing. The thought being helping her in that case may help the other cases because we can show this person who they really are. I don't believe it'll stop the cases that are already started. And my future lies in those cases of trying to figure out how to defend myself. The submittals to date have made fodder for these channels out there. They've made fun of them. One of them said, "What moron would put this together?" So now I'm a moron. Does that hurt a little bit? Kind of. I mean, I don't consider myself a moron. People do things because they think they can. They go after the elderly or the people that can't defend themselves, things like that. And it makes them feel good. You know, the things I talked about the other day, they couldn't wait to get their channel up and running so they can make fun of my video. I'm just a normal person out there, folks. I'm not trying to do anything out of the ordinary. I tried to give my advice and my opinion on things and got bit pretty good. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. But that's all I got to say today. And I know it's 40 minutes long, but giving you a little bit of an explanation is just that. I hope when you see these other channels, they're doing everything they can to attack somebody like myself, call me different names, try to lower my mental ability or stability. They don't know, or they don't think I know the difference between a Hercules heel and an Achilles tendon. Oh well, if you can, give me a thumbs up and sub to my channel if you wish. I'm just expressing some of my thoughts. I've got hit with a double whammy. One is the hate that's coming out being generated on YouTube here, and there's nothing I can do about it. Not a thing. You know, they went after Rich out there. Rich did everything he can to back me up while he had my back while I was in the problems I was having with my wife. You know, the fact that she was dying and I was doing everything I could to keep her alive. And Rich was there every step of the way for me. And people come on here and started knocking him, and they knocked me because I considered him a friend. Then they went after me because I think something of Volpe, Mike, people that went out of their way to try to help me out. And I'm wrong for liking them. They've never once attacked me in any way, period. Never. Well, I don't have a whole lot more to say today. My shout out, Lisa, I appreciate you and your husband, Gabe, being a friend of mine. And of course, Tori, you've always been there for me, so I appreciate you as well. Super Dave, you've been in my corner most of the time, and I thank you for it. Robbie, brother, I think a lot of you. I think you're a good person. I think you have a big heart. You belong right up there with the best, and you have a great family. And it's too bad that these people went after your family. For a minute there, this thing went crazy. I think it's saying end it, Ray. So we're going to end this series right now. Maybe I'll come back later with something else, but not today. And a good day to you. And as John says, ta ta.